Inshallah, we are going to continue the second session of the summary of the book ما بعد الظهور, or the اليوم الموعود, the promised day. And it's an introductory session, or these sessions are introductory sessions. The author of the book, Sheikh Muhammad Sadiq al-Sadr rahmatullah alayh, is trying to define how will be that day, how the day of the coming of the Imam will be, and what needs to be taken into consideration before that day comes. So we said the promised day, or the pleasant future for the humanity, and the divine planning for the just government. And we mentioned that it is from the history of major occultation of Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, section 3 of part 3 by Sayyid Muhammad Sadiq Sadr and other resources. We mentioned that part 3, we can summarize the section 3 of part 3 in 10 sessions. Number 1, the general basis of divine planning. That what are the bases? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a plan. What are the bases of this planning? And then second was the production of highly intellect. That means to have this kind of divine system or divinely guided system, we need a certain level of intellectual people. These people, the whole base will be on these kind of people who have this kind of intellectual abilities. And then we are going to talk about this, the coming of Jesus alayhi salatu wasalam, and we will have the third planning, production of the promised day, and then the infallible society part 1, the infallible society part 2, and then fifth planning is production of the security, how to keep this infallible system continuing, and then applications and discussions, and then we'll discuss few things from the Quran, Hadith, and the modern ideology. So today we are going to talk about the lecture 2, which is the production of awareness. Production of awareness. So this is the first planning. The first planning is to have an aware intellectual society, a society filled with intellectual people. How can that happen? He goes to, in this session, he tries to discuss the theory of evolution. The theory of evolution. Because, remember we mentioned last night that the whole universe is destined from point zero, and it's expanding to reach to the level of perfection. Human being a part of this universe, there has to be same planning. So the human also, they started from point, and then they started to, they reached the level of intellect, and then what? So as the universe goes towards perfection, human, they need two types of guidance, or two types of direction. One is the physical evolution, the way the universe is evolving. The second is the intellectual evolution. And the intellectual evolution comes by divine guidance. Divine guidance. That makes them above the animal. That makes them above the animal. So, the evolution in the universe, the life on earth, from animals eating each other to an evolved human infallible society. So it started from animals, where the direction is going. The direction is going to a society of infallibles. Not just infallibles, alayhi salatu wasalam. No. The society of intellect. These intellectual beings, the awareness they have is this much high, that kind of awareness is similar to the angels. The angels, they don't have desires. These human, they will evolve in a way, their intellectual ability, that they will not have those desires interrupting them. They will be like infallibles. So this is a journey towards the perfection. Infallibles alayhi salatu wasalam are perfection. Their duty is to provide, or to help bring that infallible society, people like them, who are able to control their desires. Their desires are under their control, and they are intellectually very highly beings. So this is the aim, that the perfect society, the promised day, is to produce this planning, divine planning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to bring into the existence of this big society of the... See, everything is going towards perfection. Human, they also need to go towards perfection. And we mentioned that humanity is going through these kind of trends. As mentioned in our previous session, that the universe is evolving. and the thought process of intellect of human is evolving as well. But were the human evolved from animal, or did they exist instantly? This is the argument he will talk a little bit about in this session, that human, did they come like they popped up like that with Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, or there was a process of evolution. Religious theory based on so strong direction towards the infallible society. So we have all the theories. They indicate that there is a direction, there is an aim to produce this infallible society, this perfect society, the society of highly intellectual human. So the whole direction is there. So the religious, the society of the intellectuals, utopia, without any animal characteristics. That means there will be a day, the human, they will live like real human, intellectual human, and not like animals. They will not fight each other like animals. So let's see, there are two theories. Religious theory based on the religious evidences. When we say religious theory, that means our evidence is what? Quran, Hadith, Bible, all the religious scriptures. Be it authentic, non-authentic, but these are scriptures, they indicate certain indications. So we have this religious evidences and scientific theory based on scientific findings. So when we say religious, it is based on religious evidences. When we say scientific, it is based on scientific evidences. Note, what will be mentioned in the slides will be strictly the author's view, and which might differ from the explanation. I may have a little bit different explanation, but the slides I have mentioned strictly the author's opinion in it. So some ulama might differ, some ulama might disagree, but we are just going to present this author of the book, the opinion or the view of the author of the book. He mentions in Genesis the religious theory. First, the religious theory. These thoughts are basically inherited thoughts. These thoughts are inherited thoughts and are centered in the minds of the followers of a religion which claims such theory. Of course, when we say religious theory, if it's a biblical theory, Muslims, they will not follow. If it's Islamic theory, Christian, they will not follow. So it is centered in the minds of religious followers of certain religion. Like in Bible, these thoughts are basically inherited thoughts and are centered in the mind of followers of a religion which claims such theory. The Bible and the Genesis 2, section 7, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. This theory says that the man was created by God. The first man was God created the man with clay. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. That means he made this man, he made this creation. This indicates that's why there was a conflict between the Christians and the scientists, that it conflicts. Scientists, they said something, the Bible, they said something. They were not able to bring things together. So this is in the Christian and Jewish theories, because they both accept this Genesis. Let's see the Quran, the Holy Quran, creation of the human. إِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشَرًا مِنْ طِينٍ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when your Lord told to the angels that I am going to create خَالِقٌ, I am going to create بَشَرًا مِنْ طِينٍ, human from clay. So the human was created from clay. Human was created from clay. فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُ, when I form it, when I make it, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ min ruhi, when I breathe into it from my spirit doesn't mean a part of spirit. No, spirit directly created by God does not go through any kind of intermediate phase. Directly from God, kun fayakun, be it is, and the spirit is inside the body. That means it's direct, by the direct command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when I breathe into it, then go into the prostration. فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. And Allah says, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ Kal-fakhar. Fakhar is these kinds of vessels, clay-made vessels, or these containers which they make out of clay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I have made similarly like these. How you make clay things, I have made human like the way min salsalin kal-fakhar, like the way you make vessels, I made from the clay human. So that means the human was created by God. وَخَلَقَ الْجَانَّ مِن مَارِجٍ مِن نَارٍ, and He created the jinn of a flame of fire. So in this case, we have these two theories. The biblical theory and the Quranic theory tells us that the first human was created. Or, let's rephrase it. The human was created from the clay. From the clay. That means God created. God made this clay, and God then created the human from this clay. But let's see. Now, many people say, okay, this was the first human, not Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. This ayat emphasizes, no, Adam was the one who was created from clay. Adam was the one who was created from the clay. إِنَّ مَثَلَ عِيسَى عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَمَثَلِ آدَمَ خَلَقَهُ مِنْ تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ قَالَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونَ. Surely the likeness of Isa with Allah is as the likeness of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. He created him from dust, then He said to him, be, and he was. So this ayat explains the previous ayat, that the one which was created, the one who was created by clay was Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, and the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's breathing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's breathing in from His ruh is not a part from Allah. No, it is the command of kun fayakun. It is the command of be, it is. So when the clay was made, Adam's form was made, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, be, and it is, and Adam got this life. So the life of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam started by the power of kun fayakun, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala injecting this ruh inside Adam. So Adam was not from generation after generation. He was the first human being. Now, indication of the religious theory. Now what we mentioned in this ayat, in the biblical code, the human were created in its important characteristics since the first day, such as the body, form, and the intellectual abilities. Religious theory says the whole thing was created by Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, by Allah from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. So Adam is the first, the human body, the human form, the human abilities, everything was from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Such characteristics did not change and will remain until it becomes transient. These characters, they are going to stay. Yes, they are going to evolve, the intellectual abilities. But the whole thing now, a human is not going to change into some super flying human, wings will come out or something like that. This is the final stage, final form. And this is the form which Adam was created, and this is the form which is going to last until the universe ends. The first human was complete and was given the legislation, was a messenger of God. That means he was a messenger of God. Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was a Nabi. Therefore, the humanity started with a complete intellectual human sent by God. Yes, the humanity had to evolve intellectually regardless of its abilities. So humanity, though Adam was the intellectual being and he had this message, but the humanity were in its basic stage. They were like kindergarten. They needed to know simple things, how to live like human. So this was the humanity. So this is the religious theory. Now let's see the scientific theory. Human evolved from animal kingdom. The animal have been evolving in all of the aspects until it reached the higher levels of its integrity. So the animal, they started from microorganism or something like that, and they started to evolve and evolve and evolve until they came to this perfect being, which is the human. So there has been evolution. And after that, it gradually evolved into human. So integrity manifesting in certain types of ape. Certain types of apes. And after that, it gradually evolved into human. And after that, furthermore, earned the ability to think and speak. With that, human totally became distinct from the animal. This is the scientific theory. That the animal kingdom evolved until it reached the apes. and then it evolved until it reached this human. And when the human started to speak and talk and think, it became distinct from the animal kingdom. Here, he said, okay, animals, this is where I carry on. You stay animals, now I have become human, I have to carry on as human. So here, the distinct happened. Okay. Points of strength in the evolution. It corresponds with the laws of nature, placed by a creator, working in the universe from beginning of the creations in its journey towards a perfect universe. As the laws of nature are working in the universe, they are working as well in the perfection of the living creatures, weakest from the animal to the perfect infallible human. So as the laws of nature are working in different aspects, they are working on the animal kingdom also. From the small, weakest animals to the perfect, infallible human. That is the direction of the laws of universe. They started from something which doesn't think to something which thinks, moves, and the complicated organism or the system started to evolve until it became to this perfect, which has to also continue to the infallible human. Infallible human. Our aim is the promised day. That's the day where the infallible human will start. The infallible society. But now we are still in that process. Strong similarities in many aspects between the animal and the human. You see, there are so many things. Like if you look into the genealogy, the formation or the science of fetus and all these kind of things, gynecology, you see that they in the beginning they look alike. The animals, when you study this, the formation of the fetus of animal kingdom, you see they all start from similar form. Then they start to change and change and change and change and distinct. And until at the end you see a human is different than animals. So the whole thing, the whole process, there are similarities, a lot of similarities between animal and human. In fact, if the human does not have intellect, he becomes like a walking animal. You know, he needs guidance. He needs somebody to wash him, clean him, clothe him, because he loses his intellect. So that's why there are similarities. These are the 2 points of strength. The nature is going towards perfection, the laws of nature. So they are being applied on everything. They are also applied on human. The other thing, similarities between the animal kingdom and human kingdom. A lot of similarities. Those who deny the God deny that such laws of nature were placed by Creator. So there are laws of nature. They say, no, these laws they existed just like that, from out of blue. Well, nothing cannot bring nothing. There has to be a thing who brings a thing. So these things, they came out from nothing. There has to be something which brought them to a thing, to existence. Because nothing cannot bring nothing. Nothing cannot bring a thing. Nothing brings always nothing. Except if something intervenes and brings thing out of nothing. Otherwise, it cannot come out of blue, as we mentioned. Common points in both theories. We said religious theory and scientific theory. What are the common points? There was a will and an intentional, intelligent planning for the existence of a human. Such planning included general laws of nature kept under control of the human so that they can use it towards their journey towards perfect life. So there are laws. There are laws. Be it kun fayakun or be it the natural laws. These both theories, they aim that there was a kind of intervention by God. There is a hand of God. There is a hand of an intentional, intelligent planning. It just not came out of blue. Both of the theories acknowledge the existence of the Creator. Both of the scientific theory, which does not deny God, they say that there is a Creator. Even in the evolution, there is a Creator. There has to be a Creator. And the religious theory, which says kun fayakun, things came out just like that, they also say that it's obvious. They say it's God. But these scientists, those who don't deny God, they say God has a planning in this evolution. God has a hand in this evolution. So, both of the theories acknowledge the existence of the Creator. Either He placed the laws and allowed the nature to take its direction towards the perfection, and Adam was only messenger, and the messenger, only Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, was created from clay. So the scientific religious theory says God made all this planning of evolution. Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was created just Adam. Adam got his generation, but there were human living in the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. This is the religious scientific theory, and they might have been evolved or something like that. So or the humanity started from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, who was created from clay. So these are the two directions. Either humanity started from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, was created from clay, or either humanity was there before Adam, but Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was a special creation of Allah. Like Prophet Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Quran tells us, Inna mathala Isa kamathali Adam. The resemblance of Isa. So Isa was a special creation who was created beyond the laws of nature. Without with the kun fayakun, with the ruh from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, the same thing. So Quran does not say the humanity started from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Quran does not indicate that explicitly. There are interpretations, there are metaphors in the word. So if scientists, they bring us strong evidences, then we can always go to the metaphorical meaning of the Quran. We said that Quran has to be taken literally, unless if there is evidence which directs or diverts the meaning from the literal to the metaphorical. Like for example, Quran says they will be looking at their Lord on the day of judgment. Looking at their Lord, that means you have to limit the God. You have to restrict the God. And that is impossible. Intellectually, it is impossible. God cannot be limited in place, time, and a certain matter. Or you have to, if you want to see something, it has to have certain matter or certain kind of existence in a certain area. You cannot. That means if God is there, God is not behind. That means you have limited God. It's impossible. It's absurd. Logically, it's absurd. That we can discuss in a different session. But here, so that God cannot be seen. So, wujuhun yawma idhin nadira. There will be delighted faces on the day of judgment. Ila rabbiha nadira. They will be looking at their Lord. Looking at their Lord. It's impossible. So, they will be looking either at the bounties of their Lord. See, metaphor. Quran does not say bounty. We have to, because this is the language of Quran. The Arabic language, the poetic style, it accepts any kind of metaphors. So since we cannot take the word literally, we have to here put a metaphor here. Another thing, nadhira is also, some mufassirin say, from intidhar. That will be, they will be waiting for whatever has prepared for them. Waiting for the bounties of their Lord. See, so we have to go metaphor. Like, was'al al-qarya. Ask the city. I not ask the city. Ask the people of the city. But people is not there in the Quran. You have to put that. Because it doesn't make any sense. In Arab, it is acceptable when you say, ask the city, ask the classroom. Classroom, should I ask the walls? No, ask the students. But you did not say ask the students of the classroom. So that's how we try to understand the Quran. So if the Quran tells us something about Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, or about the humanity, and if the scientists, they bring us strong evidences that there was evolution. I'm saying if and then statement. I'm not taking any responsibility. I'm saying if the scientists, they bring strong evidences that there was evolution, then we have to go metaphor here. Then we have to say, yes, humanity evolved, but Adam alayhi salatu wasalam had a special case. Because since he was messenger of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started this messenger as an honor to him to create him with a special creation. So that's only the thing. So by that we can solve another problem, like the generation. If we have Adam was created and there was already humanity on the earth, but in their primary forms, like animal type forms, Adam came to teach them how to be human. Adam came to teach them how to use their intellect, which is stored inside them, but they don't know how to use it. So Adam was the teacher. So we can say, first intellectual human. First intellectual human. Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. So that solves. That means if Adam's children, their children, they get married, we don't have that marrying problem. Because the children of Adam, we had this, how did the humanity got spread? There are two, three theories. Two are religious, because there are religious evidences, though they are weak evidences. And one is scientific, and one is logical theory, religious. Religious theory says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to the children of Adam, sons of Adam, two hurs. That means two women from the paradise. This hadith is weak. So that solves the problem that they were not incests. They were not incest. This is number one. Number two, it is religious theory also, which is that Hawa used to bring twins, male and female. So these male and female, they got married with each other. That means brothers and sisters. They are incests. That's the problem of the theory. But that's also solved. Maybe at that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not legislate on Adam alayhi salatu wasalam prohibition of marrying with the incest. Only one generation. And most of the ulama, they say, yeah, it can happen. Because the legislation has been changing from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam to Khatam sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, from time to time. Saturday was haram for Jewish people to hunt. Muslims, they can hunt. So haram became halal. Halal became haram. So that might be halal for Adam's first generation to produce a generation, and then the Sharia came, the second Sharia came, and it prohibited once the generation started. So these two are religious theory. The third is logical, Islamic logical. How was Hawa created? Hawa was created from, as same as Adam alayhi salatu wasallam was created. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can create one Hawa, can't He create two Hawa? It's not a big deal. If Allah created one Hawa for Adam, He can create two Hawa for the children of Adam. And from that, the generation started. This is logical. There's no evidence. There's no hadith indicating that. But it is logical that if Allah creates Hawa, then what's the problem in creating two more Hawa? And then the fourth one is scientific theory based on the evolution. That means the humanity was there. The only thing is Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was created for special creation. Hawa was created special creation. And then the generation came. Even nobody knows how Hawa was created. Allah, Quran says, وَخَلَقَ مِنْهَا, from this nafsin wahida, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created from this nafs Hawa. So Hawa could not be from clay. Hawa could be from any part of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, or the resemblance of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. So the whole thing is that if these two, they were created, and then humanity was there. So what happened? The children of Adam and Hawa got married to these human who were there already, and then the generation started. So these basically are four theories. I'm not taking the responsibility of any of the theories. I'm telling you how it can work out. Things can work out in different directions. But the point of bringing this fourth one is because both of the theories acknowledge the existence of the Creator. They both say, in Kun Fayakun, that this Adam, the theory of evolution, what they say that God, if we remove God from the theory of evolution, it doesn't work out. So God has to be there in the theory of evolution. God's hand is must. It cannot evolve just like that, because there are problems in theory of evolution also. So we have to assume a creator who makes these shifts from generation to generation. If that creation exists, we don't have any problem. This is acceptable, this is acceptable. So if the scientists, they bring us strong evidences, we'll have to accept. Because science does not contradict with religion, especially when it comes to Islam. No, Islam is open. Islam wants people to contemplate in the creation of Allah, contemplate in your body, contemplate in these historical things, everything, whatever, contemplate and try to reach to Allah and find out the aim of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His creation through your findings. You know, so Islam does not say no to evolution. Islam has certain problems with the evolution, especially when you take God out of the picture. If you keep God in the picture, you explain, that's also an accepted possibility. Conclusion, in both cases, there has to be someone who placed such laws of nature and created something from nothing. The only difference is whether human other than Adam were created instantly or evolved in a natural process. That's the difference between the two theories which Sayyid Muhammad al-Sadr presents it. Some weak points in evolution. the materialistic or atheist, they supported the second theory, but removed the creator from the picture. The atheists, they say that the picture is, the creator, there's no creator. Everything happened just like that, haphazard, randomly. That cannot happen. That's a problem. But they face the problem of the chicken first or the egg first. How can one exist without other? Which existed first? If you say chicken, then who brought the egg? How did the chicken came out? If you say egg, then who brought the... First was egg, then who brought the egg? If first was chicken, then who brought the chicken? They have a problem here. There has to be some kind of intervene of an intelligent planning behind. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the chicken. Let's say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the egg. There has to be Allah behind. Otherwise, this cannot be solved. This is a problem here. The same goes with every type of animal in the animal kingdom, or even the plant kingdom, which existed first, the seed or the plant. This cannot be answered with proper evidences. They don't have proper evidences. Seed first or plant first? There's a problem. If it was plant, then who made this plant? If it was seed, then who made this seed? The whole who question pops up. This cannot be answered with proper evidences. If there are answers, then such are mere opinions without any supportive material or subjective evidences. Answer: the God, the Creator, who can create the first of everything, who created the first of everything and allowed it to multiply, be it a plant or animal or human. So either He made it or allowed it to evolve. But there has to be God. Either He made the first human, or He allowed the human to evolve from apes. There has to be God in it. It cannot just happen like that. Second weak point. Problem of difficulty in the variation of the fixed number of genes from species to another due to the genetic laws. Unless if the Creator plans to make such alterations above the natural laws, like kun fayakun, then happens. Scientists, they say that the genes, just like alteration like that, it's a little bit complicated. The genetic science, especially the genetic science. Every animal has certain genes, certain code of chromosomes, and they're carrying these traits. So how can this jump happen from one gene to another, adding gene? There has to be someone who made this kind of addition of the gene, or in the process of evolution we are talking. There needs to be a hand, upper hand, allowing this kind of variations in genes to happen. Without that hand, this is a big problem. Third weak point. This is, of course, based on Muhammad Sadr's wordings. What type of natural laws creates the ability to think in certain types of apes and enormous intellectual abilities in human? How can this happen? Let's say the physical properties. The brain, if they go with the size of the brain, elephant's brain is huge. So it's not the size of the brain which carries the intellect. It's not. It's something which has to be from above this material system. The intellectual ability, this thought process. How can evolution solve this problem? A jump from a certain apes who have certain limited ability to an unlimited ability which the human has. How can this happen? This jump. So he says that enormous. How can this sudden change in the intellectual behavior happen from animal to human? What type of natural law indicates that? He's responding to the atheist who tries to remove the God from the picture. But if you put the God, the Creator can make such changes to happen, not the natural laws. Natural laws does not have this ability to put intellectual abilities, inject them in the human. From the apes to the human, this huge, enormous intellectual abilities, that cannot be done by evolution. No, there has to be an external hand to make this kind of shift. Therefore, both theories requires the Creator to complete the process of the shift from animal to human. He mentions more supportive evidence to his theory. He supports that there was evolution, but with the hand of God in it. with God picture. So he said there's an ayat which says, وَمَا كَانَ, maybe some mufassirin might disagree. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَمَا كَانَ النَّاسُ إِلَّا أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. Human, they were one. They were one. Why? When the animal kingdom, they don't have any kind of intellectual diversity, they are all one. He says that human were one. That means they did not have that kind of intellectual capability or ability. فَاخْتَلَفُوا. When their intellectual ability started to rise, the diversity in thought process started to rise. People, they started to think different because now they have huge angles of differences, huge angles of thought process. So this is his opinion. He mentions this ayat to support his evidence that they were there, human were there, nas, human were there. But when the intellectual ability rose, how did it rose? By the existence of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. When Adam came, the first intellectual being, he taught them how to think. The angles of differences started to happen, and the fight started to happen. And the people are not but a single nation, so they disagree, and they had not a word already gone forth from your Lord. The matter would have certainly been decided between them. So وَلَوْلَا كَلِمَةٌ سَبَقَتْ مِنْ رَبِّكَ, if it was not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's word, لَقُضِيَ بَيْنَهُمْ فِيمَا فِيهِ يَخْتَلِفُونَ. But this kind of ikhtilaf is required, because this ikhtilaf makes this test. If we will not have differences, how will we have this test of tolerance? How will we tolerate each other? So this tolerance comes when there's diversity in thoughts. And this diversity is the whole idea of... So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had destined this diversity to happen after Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. The intellectual life of human was very simple, and when the intellectual diversity and complexity started to rise, the differences started to rise as well. And the need to solve such disputes raised more and more. Then the messengers and the prophets were sent. So that means Adam alayhi salatu wasalam came, or before Adam came, their ability to think started to evolve, and they needed Adam alayhi salatu wasalam to help them out to solve their diversity or the problems coming out from the diversity. Whenever you see diverse community, in the beginning they will fight like animals. And look at the humanity. But when they start, like in this country, they have learned how to live with the diversity. So now they have evolved in a way that they can live and they can agree to disagree in their differences. Another ayat he supports, كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. People were one nation. فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ النَّبِيِّينَ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the prophets. مُبَشِّرِينَ, giving them glad tidings. وَمُنذِرِينَ, warning them. وَأَنزَلَ مَعْهُمُ الْكِتَابَ, and He descended the book with them. بِالْحَقِّ لِيَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ فِي مَا اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ. So, in one opinion, he mentions that this diversity might have happened before, and the prophets, they had to come and solve. That means they were one, like animal kingdom, living without any huge problems, but when the diversity started to happen, they started to have problems. Or, after that, the Adam alayhi salatu wasallam came, taught them the different angles, the humanity, all these kind of things, and from there, the problems started to be created, and there was a necessity to send the prophets. And there is an ayat in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to create Adam, the angels said that, "Oh God, are you going to create someone on earth who's going to make mischief?" That means they were living like animals, one nation, but they were fighting each other, they were eating each other, they were creating mischief and all those kind of things. When did the Prophet started to come? This is also, his teacher is Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr rahmatullah alayhi shaheed. He brings one of his statement. The statement of Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr is very close, very encrypted. He breaks it down to based on his understanding. Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr says that the human society was in a stage of innate and desire. That means fitra and desire. Before it rose to the level of intellect and contemplation. So he says that the humanity has two stages. One, just the desires and innate, like animals, they have certain pattern, and then the level of intellect and contemplation. So they were living simple life like animals with simple religion. And when the intellectual abilities were raised, the disputes increased as well. Therefore, when was Adam sent? Was he the first human on the earth? Or he was created when the disputes emerged in the human due to the raise of their intellectual abilities? The author, based on the discussing the evidences, Adam is not father of human. This is the Sayyid Muhammad al-Sadr. He says Adam is not the father of human or the first human. He is first intellectual human. So if we say there were animals, they look like human. And then the intellectual ability came via Adam's coming, then there was a shift. There was a shift. So Adam, we can say either he's a human, before them they were animal, they looked like human, or there were human before, and Adam is first intellectual human, created specially by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from that clay, who brought the change in the humanity from the animal stage to the human stage. Unless if the word human means the intellectual being versus animal who looked like human in their body and shape but were not intellectual before Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. This is what we are trying to say, that these people who found those skulls, these skulls, they look almost like human skulls. But how can they say these are human? The brain is decayed. Even if the brain is not decayed, how can you know that this brain, like bring a brain of a crazy guy and brain of an intellectual guy, you cannot find out by the brain, you know, that this is intellectual and this is crazy. He doesn't have any brain, or has a mentally completely mental disorder he has. So the skulls cannot tell you this much, that these were intellect or not intellect. So there were bones, okay, they look like human, but were they human, or say were they intellectual human? No, they could be animals. They look like a human, but they don't have brain, they don't have aql. So this is one of the things. And finally, the second thing, how can we find out that these were human? By findings, like intellectual findings, such as writing. Without the writing, we cannot know, because writing is. So when they trace the writing back, some historians, they say 15,000 years, some they say 20, but not too much. So, and when we trace the religious, which also there are problems in tracing back the years properly, the max we can, or not max, the minimum we can go is from 10,000 years, 8,000 to 10,000 years. So, but again, we have historical problems in tracking the date line properly. The scientists, they also have some certain problems. So nobody can definitely say when did the intellectual life started. We say from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, about 10,000 years. They say from writing, about 15. We can say from 10 to 15. Maybe Adam came before 15,000 years. We don't know. This is what we get from this week, historical tracking down the date line. But so almost the humanity almost started, we can say, from 10 to 15, or the intellectual humanity. That means there might be bodies, they looked like human, but they lacked the human intellectual activities. So with this conclusion, the opinion of the author, the human existed before Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, in their primary stage of animal stage. Or animal stage, primary stage or animal stage. Adam by himself went through a change from not knowing to knowing. Story of the tree. Story of the tree, story of the fruit, story of وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah taught Adam the names. Of course we have several interpretations, but this shows that وَعَلَّمَ, that means Adam was taught externally by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there was an external educational process for Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. So Adam by himself was created with a special creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a special educational process from not knowing to knowing. A great shift in the humanity because of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, from animal stage to the intellectual stage. Therefore Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was the start of the first divine planning, which is the awareness to bring the humanity from the animal society. See where Shaykh Sadr goes. Where's Sheikh Muhammad al-Sadr? The promised day. Look, the process started from where? From animal society to infallible society. And the infallible society is going to be from the Imam comes, or after the Imam comes. Still, Imam will have to go through certain challenges to bring that society properly up into the picture. So, yes. Therefore, Adam a.s. was the start of the first divine planning, which is the awareness to bring the humanity from the animal society to the infallible society, which is after the 12th Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. The voices started to change into languages, and the random learning turned into an educational process of learning. So see the change, the process of this 12th Imam's government has started from long time ago. Prophet Nuh ﷺ was the first to bring a legislative divine message. Adam brought message, but a proper risala. That's why he's ulul azm min al-anbiya, one of the highest ranks of the messengers. And it started to evolve until it was completed. So the message was completed by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The message has been descending from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the human via prophets. It has been. But when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, Prophet Muhammad came, the time of message ended. Now the time of execution started. The time of imamat. So message, the risala and nubuwwah, the prophethood and the messengerhood is descent of the message. When the message was completed, of course there were imams before. But now the serious action of execution starts. With imamat starts the execution of that message. We don't need a message now. We have the message. We need the execution of that message. We need the execution of that legislative system. So that was, and the requirements of the infallible society, and will be done. What do we need for that infallible society? We need perfect legislation. We have it. We have the Sharia with us, The perfect, very well experienced, infallible leader who has been observing the humanity and its turns for about 1,200 years. The experience which the 12th Imam has now, no one ever had that kind of experience in these days. So when he comes, he's very well experienced leader. So we have a perfect Sharia with us, a perfect leader. Then what is missing? A perfect society. That's what the intidar is about. To learn the Sharia, learn the law, learn the system, tell the people about the system, make the people aware about the system, and when he comes, he will come and there will be a group who have been in the highest position in our Islamic system. Is not a person who is a great theologist, not a person who is a great mufassir. Ayatullah al-Uzma means supreme jurist, mujtahid, laws, legislative system, fiqh, sharia. That's the highest rank in our Islamic system. So that's what the Imam is waiting. Where are these people who will implement the legislative system? He comes with the sharia. People, they are not aware of the laws. So the perfect sincere. So first, perfect legislation, we have it. Perfect leader, we have it. And we need a perfect society, the perfect sincere and loyal community to start with. Such could be few in numbers, like 313. But where are these? We have to work to educate, to bring those 313 out into the existence. Few in numbers, or a small group implementing the legislation, submitting to the infallible leader, and the one who have learned the mistakes of the previous societies. The 12th Imam has learned a lot. He has learned from Adam ﷺ to the 11th Imam ﷺ, all the prophets and Imam, and still he is learning and observing. So when he is going to come, he is going to be an excellent, experienced leader of the world. He has the knowledge of every challenges and problems the humanity has got. So the way it was to have such group who has the knowledge about the legislation. Now, the stages of this universal just country. So when the Imam comes, what will happen then? There are stages. There are 4 stages. This is the promised day, the day of the Imam. When the Imam comes, there are 4 stages of this universal just society, or Dawla al-Adila, just country. The stage of leadership of Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, where he will still be working on the on education, on the education and awareness. Still a lot he will need to teach more and more. You know, those people who are aware about the legislation, they will help the Imam pass the message out of legislation. There will be precise awareness about the legislation versus the deduced knowledge of jurists. We had now ijtihad, there will be no ijtihad. There will be direct teaching of the Imam. Because before him, not all the aspects of laws were clear. Not all the perfection of the society will start from there. So the Imam's coming is not the infallible society. It's the start to build up the infallible society. The real start. So we are preparing for that start. The second stage, after the Imam is martyred or died or whatever, the stage of his appointed successors and building the infallible universal society will continue perhaps for hundreds of years until it reaches to the level that the majority becomes infallible and the society is called the infallible society, where the community managed their desires by their intellect, love of God and existence of God. Every single person has the strong love of God. Every single person is aware of existence of God. So they will not commit sins. If you have this strong faith that God is watching you, God is everywhere, and you have this love of God, you are not going to commit any sins. The stage, so these are the two stages. First stage, Imam Mahdi coming, starting the process of education, awareness. Second, the infallible society. After that awareness, people, they have more, they are capable to control their desires with their intellect. Still, the government will be run by the appointed successor. Then the real democracy will start. The third stage. The stage of true democracy. This wise community where majority are close to the infallible in their righteousness. Therefore, the produced leader from it has to be an infallible. If we go with the vote of majority, if the majority are infallible or perfect human, of course they will choose a leader over them who's a perfect also. Because if the society is corrupted, the leader is corrupted also. If the majority are corrupted, don't expect a pious leader to run the country. So if the society is corrupted, who will they vote for? Their type, who will fulfill their desires. But if the society is infallible or perfect human, who will they choose? The one their type. So here the true democracy can come. The stage of true democracy, this wise community, where majority are close to the infallible in their righteousness, therefore the produced leader from it has to be an infallible, wise, pious. This era will be where the predicted democracy of Europe by Europeans will be implemented properly, because the leader in that system reflects the opinion of the majority. In a system majority are unjust, the leader will be unjust. And finally, the fourth stage, the stage of infallible society, where every single individual will be infallible and will not require any leader. Remember the story we mentioned last week? Dhul Qarnain, the king was living somewhere in the wilderness. The people, they did not need any king, because they have their graves beside their door, So, why will they commit sin? Because they are aware of where they are going, existence of God, love of God. So they all are leader by themselves. They don't need. When do you need leader? When there is a possibility of problems being created, the leader comes and solves the problems. But if there's no problems, no leader needed. The stage, utopia, the state of perfect worshipping society, that is the final aim of the creation. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That I have not created the jinn and ins except to worship me. This stage is that stage. And finally, what will happen? After that, the end of the world. There are two theories of the end of the world. One theory says that this pious society, now they will be transferred to the Day of Judgment. So the destruction of the earth will happen. Second theory, no, this pious society will decline slowly. The evil will rise again. and they will be like animals as they were before. And when they will become like animal after having this bounty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring the earth on them as a punishment and destroy them. And you can see the ayat in the Quran, they all indicate towards this direction, that the destruction of the earth and the earthquakes and all these kind of things. Why? Because the people of the earth, they will be in that state of the kind of evil which has never ever been. So let's go through this. The end of the world, two theories. The perfection, number one, the perfection and the integrity continues until the aim of the humanity on the earth ends, based on the divine planning, and the humanity will be transferred to the day of judgment, which will start by the destruction of the earth as mentioned in the Quran. The humanity, number two, theory number two, the humanity after reaching that highest level of perfection will start to decline again, and the evil will rise, and the human will become like animals as they were before, performing every act of immorality, injustice, oppression, and evil in every aspect. And the destruction of the earth will be punishment for the humanity, which will end with the day of judgment. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.